So what's your reaction to today's immigration figures?
They're appalling. They're a complete betrayal of what everybody who voted Conservative, who voted for Brexit, what we wanted. We were told and promised by the Conservative government that Brexit would take back control of our borders, that it would reduce immigration numbers below 200,000 a year. And instead, actually what's happened is that they've at least trebled since then. We've now got people coming into the UK about the size of Birmingham every single year. It's well over 1% on a net basis per annum, and it's leading to huge pressures all over the UK. Just yesterday, the OBR confirmed that living standards per head are falling and that large numbers of immigration are a significant part of that. We've got a housing crisis, we've got a health crisis, we've got an inflation crisis, and we've also, Sophie, we've also got a cultural crisis. And
let's talk about the cultural crisis in a minute, but just to talk about the, the care sector, for example, 157,000 vacancies last year. There's an awful lot of people who've arrived in this country working in our hospitals, for example, as well. So do we not need some immigration?
We've got the highest population ever in the United Kingdom. We've got record people on out-of-work
benefits.
Yes, let's have smart immigration where we've got genuine shortages, but at the moment we've got we've got open border chaos. And so we should be training our own people, as historically we've always done. Smart immigration, we could have one in, one out, what I call net zero immigration. That would be about 450,000 a year coming in the sectors we genuinely need. What you've got to do, though, in the UK, you've got to make work pay. And despite the autumn statement yesterday, at the moment, for too many people, work doesn't pay.
So you're up for higher taxes then?
Taxes are at record highs.
You're up for higher taxes then to make work pay in the care sector and hospitals?
You should lift the tax threshold from 12,500 to 20,000 to make work pay. For people on low incomes and for people on average salaries, that's a massive difference.
You talked about the cultural issue. What do you mean?
What I mean is that for the UK to work, we want people who come here to want to enjoy and to live under one single British culture that unifies us all. Everything that we stand, our way of life.
What is one single British culture?
That's about being British. It's about who we are, where we've come from, our way of life.
But what does that mean? You say that British culture means being British. But what does it mean?
It means everything that our values, our sense of decency, of fair play, of transparency, of respect for each other.
A lot of people who come to the UK are decent.
David Cameron, Tony Blair, Dame Louise Casey all said, and they're right, and Suella Braverman, multiculturalism has failed. Unifying under one single British culture, that's where we need to go. So you need to be able to absorb immigration in numbers that can work for everybody. If you have mass immigration, you get too much pressure too quickly, as we're seeing on public services, and people don't integrate and absorb into communities, and that's bad for everybody.
What would be a sensible level of immigration?
So we're standing for net zero immigration, so about 450,000 people on average.
So what would you do then for example, would you scrap the number of people who come here through Ukraine and HongOng then? Would you just stop that?
No, that's not what we're saying. You've got to look at it year on year.
They are part of the immigration figures, a big part of it, and you want net zero. So what does that?
Net zero means one in, one out. There's about 450,000
So for every Ukrainian who comes here, you would have to say
but the numbers have increased since the Ukraine crisis. In terms of the number of people who came here, the numbers have actually increased since. Why? Because, for example, they're granting more work visas to non-EU citizens. They're granting 600,000 student visas. And so they basically opened the borders and made it complete open season. A mass immigration is really not the right solution. It's not what people voted for.
You said you want to stand in every seat. Are you thinking about doing any deals with any Conservative MPs who might have similar views to you on immigration?
Look, I still wear the scars on my back from December 19.
Are people texting you trying to see if they can have special...
Zero deals with the Tories. We stand in every single seat. Democracy's better when people have got more options, more discussion, more debate, and we stand for many things that the other two main parties, you can hardly tell the difference between them. They're basically different forms of socialism. High tax, high regulation, pro-net zero, all of that equals low growth.
Socialist,
it's a catastrophe. Yes, he's certainly not a Conservative in the traditional sense of the word.
So we've seen an anti-Islam populist leader win at the Dutch general election. Do you think it could happen here?
I don't think anybody was surprised that yet another country across Europe has voted against the establishment politics. People are very concerned about very high levels, almost mass immigration, and they're saying that's not improving our living standards. And for them, it challenges their own cultures within their own nations. And I think people are concerned about the high levels of mass immigration that we're now seeing in the UK. So yeah, I think people are saying, actually, I want to vote for a party that stands for what we call net zero immigration. That's the right thing to do, and that wants to make their living standards better off. And you achieve that by going for growth with low taxes, low regulation. We've got to get rid of the madness of net zero that's impoverishing us all. That's how you get high growth and improve people's living standards.
I have to ask you this. You've been watching Nigel Farage and I'm a Celebrity?
Of course, hasn't he been doing fantastically? I think people are enjoying seeing Nigel, the individual, getting on well with others, having some interesting discussions, and he's revealing his true personality in many ways. And I think that actually viewers are enjoying it, and I hope he goes all the way in the programme.
What would you do if he, called you up once he gets back from the other side of the world?
Tells me I must do it next year.
And says,
no thanks.
What about if he says, oh, you know what, I might come back and lead the party? Would you let him? Would there be a free slot?
I made it very clear. The more help Nigel can give, the better. I'm the leader. He's made it very clear he doesn't want to stand in a first-past-the-post election. We're very pro-proportional representation. That's the fairest way to conduct elections.
Could he come back as leader, though?
But the more help Nigel can give, the better. So let's wait and see. The Tories are terrified of the progress of reform.
You're not ruling out him coming to lead reform.
I'm the leader. He doesn't want to stand in a first-past-the-post election, but I want as much help as Nigel feels able to give.
Neither of those two things
but Sophie,
are the answer to whether or not you would let him come back to lead the party.
We're focused on action, not titles, and not waffle like you hear from too many politicians in Westminster.
I thought you were the straight talker.
I'm the straight talker. I'm telling you, I'm the leader, and the more help Nigel can give, the better. There's no more straight talking than that.